Oh no, we're live. This is not going to end well. Well, for those viewing post-stream, well, I don't know. Just trying to boot camp my early 2008 MacBook Pro just for the sake of experimentation purposes, particularly with games, because why the heck not? See how well a 2008 MacBook Pro can play games. And I got a Windows disk here. I don't even know if it's 32-bit or 64-bit. The weird thing was it launched just fine on my other computer, so I'm not sure what to believe. But, I guess if it's 32-bit in the end, then I'll reinstall it off camera. But just for kicks and giggles, why not? So hopefully... Okay, good. This will actually let me download it this time. Sweet. So hopefully the stream doesn't go you-know-who while this is doing its thing. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and reveal the specs here. So this is an early 2008 MacBook Pro 15-inch. This is a BTO model with a 2.6 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. I think it's a T9600. I don't remember. Anyway, 4 gigs of RAM. Has a GeForce 8600M GT, 512 megabyte. And then as far as the displays go, this is just your standard 15-inch, nothing fancy. It's got the original 200 gig hard drive. And that's really about all there is to say. So we're just going to wait on Bootcamp to download the software here. In the meantime, what I want to actually see, I know the super drive in this case actually works. I just don't know if this is for 32-bit Windows or 64-bit Windows. Hopefully that drive actually still works. Do 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 do. Oh, it might take a while for that to mount apparently. Oh, there it goes. Now it's spinning up. Okay. Where is it then? That's a good question. I have absolutely no idea. Oh, there it is. I have no idea whether this is actually going to be a 32-bit or 64-bit file. I have actually no idea. The only crappy part is this is probably Windows 7 RTM, so I'm going to have to install Service Pack 1, which is not going to be fun, regardless of whether it's actually 32-bit or 64-bit. Hopefully that's not the case. But like I said, if it ends up being a 32-bit install, then whatever, I'll just go back and install 64-bit off camera. It's not the end of the world. It's not like I can go back into macOS, just delete the partition and then repartition the drive and try it again. So now we just wait on this fun stuff. In the meantime, I suppose we'll go ahead and, I guess, blab in the chat. We'll see if we get any more viewers. We got one so far, which is awesome. Off the cuff streams are always a little bit of a mixed bag, at least for my channel size, when it comes to finding people who will actually watch a stream, for that matter. So far, nothing in the chat, but whatever. Yeah, that looks fun. Well, anyways, throw this away. Okay, there we go. Huh. I just got a notification on my Discord for something on GTA Online, which I don't currently play because well, let's just get this out of the way. I don't really play too much GTA Online. Haven't played it in several months, let's be fair. Probably realistically, I mean, I've played it recently, but like I haven't actually sat down and played in at least a year. Found other games to play in the meantime. It's just not that GTA Online is bad or anything. It's just, there's not much interest for me in that sort of stuff. And of course, I've yet to get into, Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever. Does mine have a revised GPU? I've always gotten questions about that. I've never actually bothered to check because I think there's supposed to be some kind of identifier. I want to say mine is, but I can't confirm right now whether it is or not because I haven't bothered to check. Ever since I've gotten this machine, I just haven't really used it all that much. Currently, right now, it's okay, obviously. I've never actually had any kind of graphical corruptions or glitches or anything. The only time that it's ever done so was after I've exported a file in ProRes because for some reason, ProRes just kind of makes this machine upchuck all sorts of crap, but that's not necessarily the fault of the it's not the fault of the computer, it's the fault of the operating system because I'm running currently macOS High Sierra on a machine that's supposed to stop at macOS El Capitan, so obviously drivers are a bit of a mixed bag, but again, I can't fault the machine for that. It's the operating system. But, oh, good, it's done. Now it's saving it to my flash drive there. But I want to say, because this was owned by a university, I think it was the University of Utah, I would have supposed that they did actually have these things serviced with a revised GPU. I can't confirm again because I haven't checked, but I believe this one was actually done since this was a university computer before I got my hands on it. Now, who knows how many owners they've had ever since it was a university computer. I can't really say because I don't know. But, yeah, anyway. So now we wait on this to save the support software. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to run on this as my OS of testing. I just want to get Windows 7 installed because that is technically supported by this computer. I believe it can run Windows 8.1 just fine. I might do that because it's going to be a little bit lighter weight than Windows 7 is, and it's still going to get security updates, and it won't get the stupid nagging crap on it like Windows 7 is going to get here within like less than 30 days, and I'd rather not deal with that. So, anyway, I'll deal with that off camera if I ever decide to go with 8.1 or 10. 10's probably going to be a little bit too much for this because it's only got 4 gigs of RAM. And I haven't got the memory sticks to actually give it 6. I don't even know if they'd be compatible, even if I were to have any, which I don't, like I said, but, not like 4 gigs is going to suicide this thing. It's just going to be a little slow, but, I've still seen plenty of brand new computers come with 4 gigabytes of RAM, and I guess people don't really seem to care so much, so I'm not in any big rush. What I am going to be in a big rush for is going to be this saving Windows support software. Although, whatever, right? Guess let's see how much space it's taking. Yeah, it's taking quite a bit, actually. Oh. Password prompt. Might want to type that in. Okay, perfect. It's been saved. Okay. So let's go ahead and reopen up Bootcamp Assistant here, and let's install Windows 7 or later version. Should detect that it's a Windows 7 disk in the drive. There we go. I'm going to split the drive in half and then install. Bootcamp needs to update the USB drive before installing Windows 7. The USB drive connected to this Mac contains a bootable volume. In order to install Windows 7 from the DVD, the Bootcamp Assistant needs to disable this functionality. No information on the drive being removed. Yeah, go ahead, whatever. That's fine. Windows XP. Future video or stream. Then we'll do Windows XP. But for today, we're just going to do Windows 7 or at least Windows 7. But, yes, in the future, yes, for sure, we're doing Windows XP on this computer. Absolutely. My big thing is I need to get me a Snow Leopard DVD so that way I can get the Bootcamp software for XP. That's just going to be the easiest way to do it. And before you suggest, well, download it onto the internet and do it yourself. Well, I would if I had dual-layer DVDs to burn in my dual-layer drive, which my Optiplex 790 does have. I just don't have any dual-layer DVDs, so oof. Otherwise, it'd just be as simple of going online and downloading an ISO or a disk image, rather, of the Snow Leopard installer and just burning it on one of these computers. Honestly, it doesn't really matter either way you go because it'll be a standardized format either way. Just, I don't have the media, so that's just oof. But since I no longer use this as my main Mac for video editing or any kind of main Mac usage, I'm going to have a little bit of fun with it before ultimately this thing's going to be so obsolete it's not worth using. So we'll see if we can play any kind of games on it. I highly doubt it, but hey, one can always have fun trying. Because, I mean, it's not like macOS has any more support than that to begin with. Oh my god, how many times I gotta give this freaking wizard a password? Okay, hopefully now it should reboot right into the disk. And we should be good to go. I'll have to remember where my Windows 7 key is, but for right now I'm just going to install it without a product key. Actually, no, I can get one from my iMac because I've got a bunch of Windows 7 Pro keys in there. Fastest Windows Vista machine from the time period. Well, I wouldn't say you're wrong because that's probably true, but if I'm gonna use a MacBook Pro for Windows Vista usage, I'm gonna get me maybe a 2009 MacBook Pro, probably one with a GeForce 9600M GT in it or something like that, because those are ultimately going to be a hell of a lot faster than one of these, and they'll have DDR3 RAM at the same time, so it'll make them quite a bit more quick. But definitely no, I mean, you're not wrong. These were probably very quick Windows Vista machines, but they also made even better Windows XP machines. Any second now, it should go into PC mode once it figures out the disk. Insert unlicensed Jeopardy theme music interpretation here. Oh. And it looks like it's booting up any second now. Once the disk drive figures out what disk is in the drive. Great Pineapple is asking, what about Windows 98? Not this computer. It's too new for that. I mean, even if I wanted to, it wouldn't work anyway because, Mac OS is also on the drive, so that's just going to screw things over for Windows 98. Oh, we're already off to a great start. Look at that. Already off to a great start. Fail on Bootcamp's part. Did it lock the whole machine up? It did lock the whole machine up because caps lock isn't even responding. Congratulations, we're already off to a fantastic start. Alright, let's try this again. We'll just boot directly off of the DVD ourselves. Do I have an external optical drive just in case? No, I don't. I mean, I do technically have one, I just don't have one here, so that just doesn't make things any better. I think it's back at home, but obviously home is at least an 84-mile drive away, so I can't do that right now. I mean, if I'm going to drive home, I'm going to be there for the whole freaking weekend and Christmas, so... And I'm not taking a project like this home with me unless I absolutely have to, because I've got other projects there to begin with. Okay, I see Windows, so that's a good sign. Let's just boot the disk directly and see if that works. I think Bootcamp just messed up on booting up, which happens. So we'll just try it directly. If all else, I'll just assume that this disk is bad, because I've never really actually, tried it. So this is one I got from an optical drive of some junk computer. So it's not really going to... Oops, I hit the button. So it's not going to surprise me if this doesn't work. Oh, hey, there we go. Just had to restart it. So yeah, Bootcamp definitely oofed up there, but not surprising to say the least. Just got to make sure the USB stick is in the drive because it'll have all of the drivers and the auto run script the scripts and whatever. And by the way, the Great Pineapple, no, I do not have that same drive I just referenced that's at home. It's both a USB 2 and a Firewire 400 drive. So again, like, I don't have that here, so I can't use it even if I wanted to. Because, I mean, otherwise, yeah, I totally would have done a Firewire drive, and I would have just plugged it in and been off to the races. Absolutely. But anyway. Point is, the internal drive's working now, so we're going to continue on with it. Hopefully it doesn't mess up. What causes optical drives on these pre-unibodies to fail? Dirty lens. Honestly, I think the biggest thing with the super drives on these pre-unibody MacBook Pros, and for that matter, the PowerBook G4s, the 17-inch and 15-inchers specifically, is right here. This is where the super drive is. And the spot here, because of the pressure being put onto the palm rest by your hands, will actually crush the drive. And this piece of aluminum up here will like bow outward. And that's why these will quit working. Although the dirty lens can be inside the picture, there's absolutely no question. But generally speaking, it's because of these things that get crushed over time due to the pressure on the palm rest. I put Windows 10 on my early 2009 iMac 20-inch and it works fine, but I had to use the NVIDIA driver because the 32-bit Bootcamp drivers don't work on a 64-bit OS. Well, obviously. I mean, 32-bit drivers are not supposed to work on a 64-bit operating system. The only reason that they do is because Microsoft actually built in the backward compatibility for them to actually function in a limited capacity. But technically speaking, even nowadays, you can't use 32-bit drivers in a 64-bit operating system. They have to be 64-bit signed drivers, unless you're specifically installing a 32-bit version of the operating system, by which, of course, then 32-bit drivers will obviously work because it's the same architecture. I don't even think when Windows Vista and 7 were around that even worked 100% with the whole backward compatibility between architectures. That was kind of finicky at best. And it's always been that way just because, again, the differing architectures. Oh, fun. I don't have a touchpad. I should have seen that coming because I stopped the Bootcamp crap. So the touchpad don't work. I always forget about that. I need to grab a USB mouse. Hang on a minute. I've got one. I just need to plug it in real quick. I got a good face, so hello, people. Don't mind my lack of getting sleep at a reasonable hour. Okay, let's try this now. Please work. Okay, cool. Mouse works. So we'll just have to do this part of the setup with an external mouse because for some reason the touchpad's not working. I'm not sure why. That's just a little goofy. I would think that drivers would be standardized, but this is a MacBook Pro we're talking about here, running a Windows 7 operating system. Obviously, Microsoft ain't going to have the drivers for this thing built in. All right, Windows 7 Pro. We'll do a custom. We're going to format the Bootcamp drive. And install. All right, and we're off. Sweet. Might be because it's not on a PS2 port. Yeah, that's true. But even still, I would think that an internal USB trackpad would still be recognized, even as a basic, point-and-click two-button mouse, which technically this isn't. But, at least it should work in a basic sense. I don't know. Could be some stupid, like I said, a stupid Apple driver thing, which that's nothing new. They've always done little goofy things like that when you're running Windows. I remember that fondly from when I had my early 2015 MacBook Pro that I stupidly sold off in favor of a 8th Gen Dell Inspiron, 8th Gen Core i5 Dell Inspiron, and that thing was just a pile of crap. But in all fairness, Windows 10 at that time was a buggy pile of crap as well, although it still technically is. But anyway, I digress. I shouldn't have gotten rid of that MacBook Pro because it was still fine. Just anyway, But no, I remember when I was trying to run Windows on it, and I remember the trackpad drivers were so garbage that it just made the machine totally unusable without an external mouse. I remember that fondly. Like having the dedicated GPU run all the time in Bootcamp. No, that's not the issue. I had a 13-inch, so that didn't affect me. But my biggest issue was the trackpad being the way that it was. It had some of the crappiest drivers you could ever imagine. And I'll give you an example. Like with the two-finger right-click thing that most trackpads these days have support for. If you tried to use that in Windows under Bootcamp with that MacBook Pro, because it had the Force Touch trackpad, oh my god, it was horrible. You try to, like, click and drag or whatever, but as soon as you accidentally or even intentionally put another finger on the touchpad to do a two-finger gesture, it would stop and do a right click. It didn't matter what the fuck you were doing. Like, it wouldn't matter. Like, you would try to click and drag, and then as soon as any kind of other thing laid on the touchpad and it assumed that it was a second finger, it would stop and right click. The stupidest effing drivers. Like, how is that good? Like, you don't even do that in Mac OS. Why would you do that in Windows? That just... That was one of my nitpicks of why I got rid of that thing. And again, I shouldn't have done that because I ultimately could still be using that damn laptop to this day and it would still be fine. But it is what it is. It was like 12 months ago. I wasn't exactly that small. It's almost 12 months ago to the day because I got the Inspiron on the 31st of December. I digress. Obviously, this machine predates those awful drivers, and it actually has a physical button, so it doesn't really bother this machine all that much, but just, that's the worst on Windows laptops. It's even worse on a Mac with Bootcamp. Like, I tell you what, I don't know how Apple gets away with those crappy trackpad drivers. They're just terrible. I mean, I don't know if they've changed it recently, because technically that 2015 MacBook Pro was a fully supported machine under Windows 10. Obviously, but I don't know if they've changed that for their newer ones or not. I highly doubt it. Or if they have, I'd be friggin' amazed. But I don't own one. I own this thing, so yay. One thing I want to check actually is Shift F10. Does these actually work as standard function keys? Oh, they do. Oh shit. Yeah, I'm gonna have to install Service Pack 1. That's gonna be fun. Oh wait. Oh, the touchpad's working now. Oh, it must have loaded the driver for it as I launched the setup program. Okay, well then we don't need this then. Why it wasn't working in the first place, I don't know, but it's loaded the driver for it now, so yay, touchpad works. Good. I'm beginning to wonder about that. All right, let me put the receiver back in here. I might keep this around though, just because you never know when you're going to need a USB external mouse. Wonder, let's actually go into Task Manager here real quick. We'll check our resource usages. Windows 7's always been okay about this. It's not been fantastic, but it was at least decent. It was worse than Vista, though, I'll be honest, in the RAM usage, which it still kind of is today. It's kind of turned into the bloated XP we didn't want, which is unfortunate, but I'm going to have to deal with that issue when I install all the freaking updates, because this is a RTM Windows 7 disk. I need to just make a bunch of up-to-date ISOs, but I don't have the time for that, so that just sucks. Particularly, I need to make an up-to-date Windows 7 disk because I found that if you slipstream all the updates into a disk, and then if you install Windows with those updates already applied in a slipstream, then it'll actually kind of perform a little better than if you just install them over the Windows Update control panel thing. Doesn't make it that much faster, but it does make a difference because it doesn't have to sit here and have to deal with all the patching and all that crap. You can also run the Windows 7 convenience rollup. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, you would slipstream that into the ISO before you burn it to a disk or put it onto a flash drive through Rufus or something like that. That sort of stuff. That's what I was referencing. Chris was asking when we make more software overview videos. Eventually. I'm on winter break now from college. I'm done for the year. I actually just finished up yesterday with my finals, which I'm moving on to the next section. I passed all my finals, which was A. That's fantastic. So do expect that to come eventually. I just need to figure out what the heck I'm going to film next. But that is in the works. I was thinking Kubuntu might be next. I got to start making notes for that stuff. I'm going to be away for the holidays, though, up till the 26th of December. I think I'm going to be leaving tomorrow. But while I'm gone, I might make some notes for future videos just so I can figure that stuff out. And then also for people on my Discord, what I might do after I'm done with the stream is I might make a little poll thing or like a little suggestion thing, like a pinned message in the suggestions chat for video ideas, because I need something to do over the spring break. And so I figure I'll keep myself busy by making videos and just making a queue. So that way I can have a regular upload schedule, at least a semi-regular upload schedule once again, just in case there's a week where I can't make a video, which is probably likely to happen, but I don't know. Tom, blah, blah, blah. Saw the message there is. Sup, how are you? I'm doing pretty good, Tom, thanks. Never been better installing Windows on a MacBook. I guess. Yeah, when I slipstreamed the 7 updates for the first time, didn't feel like a snail after a few restarts and on post. Yeah, definitely. I was referencing that because I think you did actually post an ISO like that where you slipstreamed updates into Windows 7, and I swear I remember I downloaded it and I tried it, and it wasn't too bad. But my memory is about as good as, well, burning a turkey in the oven. So take that result with a grain of salt, of course. It's probably not the greatest analogy, but I don't care. Maybe we'll release an image with all of them after 15th of January. That might be something to keep in mind. I would totally download that and archive it, because, I mean, yeah, I've actually, I should mention this. I've done a couple of small updates to my main PC, which is a Dell Optiplex 790 for those who are just tuning in and seeing this for the first time, or seeing my channel for the first time. So I've recently put in a 500 gig solid state drive for my boot drive as a Christmas gift, and then I had a lying around 2 terabyte hard drive that was actually sitting in that Dell Optiplex 9020 sitting on the floor over there. Not that machine, that's an Acer, but that Dell down there. And it was using that drive as its main drive altogether, but that was only meant to be temporary because I didn't have a drive to actually stick in that computer. So the 500 gig drive from this that I initially put into it, because when I got this computer, it had a 250 gig drive in it, which is just yuck. So the 500 gig drive that I put into this machine and used for the longest time went into that computer over there. And then the 2 terabyte drive that it was using came over to this machine as a storage drive. And then obviously the SSD is what runs Windows. But anyways, other than that, the specs are basically all the same. Oh yeah, because the battery's totally dead. It does this every time it restarts or wakes up from sleep. But otherwise, it works just fine. And I've got enough of a wattage adapter to where it'll actually work without the battery. It's not worth buying stuff for this old machine anymore. It doesn't really make it much more worth it. I should have held down option, but I think it defaulted the boot order to Windows anyway. Hopefully, if I'm not mistaken. Once this thing figures it out. Yeah, I don't miss Bootcamp on these older MacBook Pros. It takes forever to get them into Windows mode. There we go. Once they start booting and they start working in Windows mode, they're normally fine. It takes forever for the EFI to get going. Definitely the more modern Macs do it a lot faster. Then again, on the newer Macs, they just directly boot the freaking UEFI, and it's like, boom. Like, they play the Mac chime, and then the Windows logo immediately pops up on the screen. Doesn't help that Windows 7's UEFI support is lackluster. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. I'm not leaving Windows 7 on this. I'm just installing it because that's what the Bootcamp software on this machine has as a minimum, and that's the only physical format I have right at the moment. I don't have like a disk burned of Windows 8.1 or a disk of Windows 10. All I've got is a disk of Windows 7, so oof. I mean, it would take me like 15 minutes to burn a disk, but I'm lazy, so I'm just using what's supported, which is Windows 7, and then if I ever really wanted to, I'll just upgrade it to like Windows 8 or 8.1 or 10 for that matter. I'll just do a reset within the operating system to do a clean install and call it a day. I'm not that picky about that sort of stuff. It'll work fine. All I need is just the base thing with the drivers to install, and then I'll be set. Probably gonna have like the most clickbaity title for a video featuring this computer and trying to play games on it. People are gonna think I'm mad. Although I won't be playing too much on this because it's only a DirectX 10 graphics card, so that's not really gonna help matters any. But I mean, this computer's from 2008, so I can't fault it for only having DX 10.1 support. That wasn't really a mainstream feature until like 2010. But you're mad regardless. Always. Yeah, early 2009 iMac is also DirectX 10. Yeah, they didn't add DirectX 11 support until like the GTX 200 series, I think. Well, actually, on OEMs it would have been the GT 100 series, but for mainstream people it would have been the GTX 200 series. That's when they added DirectX 11 support. Except for, of course, the GT 210 or the GeForce 210, if you prefer to call it that way. Yeah, the 9400M, absolutely, that was only a DX 10.1 GPU. Not even the 9800 GT got DX 11 support. I mean, technically at a function level, Windows can interpret DirectX 11 on a 10.1 card, but hardware-wise, that will only allow you 10.1. Completing installation. Wow. It's probably going to take like another 5 minutes. This does not exactly have the fastest hard drive in the world. It's fast enough, but it's not that fast. It was okay for the time period, but, you know. Nowadays, it's pretty doggone slow. And it's not helped, of course, that it's like worn over 11 years, almost 12 years at this point, which is just insane. Still can't believe this is going to be a 12-year-old computer come next year. It's insane. It really does not look the part. I mean, Steve Jobs' era Apple and their hardware design really made things look timeless, which this is definitely one of those kinds of machines, except for the I/O, of course. But like the actual like physical design still looks very damn good to this day. So I will give them that. And it also helps that this machine's in very good condition as well. Like, it doesn't have all the usual wear and tear of one of these pre-unibody MacBook Pros, and the display actually looks like it's brand new. Like, it actually has even backlighting, and it's not pink. It's not got press marks in the panel. Like, it's actually a very good condition computer. It's honestly amazing. Except for, like, the scuffs on the bottom, but who cares? You know, it's just normal wear and tear. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. I got it for like $15, so you get what you pay for. As long as it doesn't have a defective GPU, then I'm all good for that, you know. As long as I can avoid a 2011 with all my might, you know, whatever, right? At least these ones are fixable in like a 2011. I mean, if you care to actually put the money into it to fix it, which I don't. If this thing dies, it's gonna go get recycled and put in the landfill because it's not worth fixing these days. It's so old. I mean, even as just a web browsing machine, it's getting to the point where it's just so doggone slow, even with the maximum 6 gigs of RAM. It's not worth it. I just got a comment on one of my videos saying, what was it? Let me try to pull it up on the watch here. Where was it? I just saw it. Dang it. It doesn't want to show on my watch. Thanks to advertisements. But you can have the 2011 GPU disabled in hardware. Yeah, like they all say. Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that when I had my 2011 iMac that the GPU actually still worked. It had the 6770M in it though. And I know that those aren't nearly as prone to failure as like the 6790M or the 6870M or 6970M for that matter. Well, we're on the home stretch now. Let's go. You know what I probably ought to do? What I should have been doing in the background all this time? Should have been downloading Service Pack 1. Yeah, fuck it. I'll do it off the stream because I don't want to throttle the... I don't want to make the stream look like potato. All I'm doing right now is just installing Windows. It's basically all the stream is for. Setup is preparing your computer for first use. Yeah, almost 12 years later, I've been using it for the first time all this time. Whoa. Setup is checking video performance. Yeah. Hope that Microsoft Basic Display Adapter has good performance. Not. All right, Windows 7 Professional. I'll just throw my name in there. I'm going to say 2008, caps lock MVP. And no password. And then I'm going to bypass this because I'll throw my license key when I get to the desktop. Ask me later because I'm not going to want you installing updates until I get Service Pack 1 installed and the convenience update for that matter. Oh, it's got the Wi-Fi driver already. Nice. Yes, I'll actually connect to that. That would be convenient. This is a home network. Yeah, I'd look into a Retina MacBook Pro, not with all the hidden flaws they come with. Well, realistically, that only really majorly affects the 2016 through early 2019 15-inch MacBook Pros as well as their 13-inch counterparts. So those are the ones, of course, obviously with the butterfly keyboards. Those are the ones that I'd obviously try to stay away from if at all costs. At least just because of what I do, I can still get by with a 15-inch 2015, but I know for a fact, absolutely for a fact, that those are going to be worth a hell of a lot more than a 2016 15-inch MacBook Pro with comparable specifications just because of that keyboard being a scare factor for many people. And it's not like, you know, obviously, it's not like it can't be fixed because obviously there's the repair program for those, but still that's going to be a huge determining factor in the machine itself, obviously, over time as they age. The 2015s are ultimately going to be worth a hell of a lot more than a 2016. Although, I don't know. I don't really want to make too many assumptions just because I'm really not sure how it's going to age. I love the older iMacs when they still have their DVD drives in them. Me too, but it is what it is, you know. What about the carbon fiber aluminum MacBook? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, well, he didn't start the Bootcamp installer automatically, and I wonder why, because there's no freaking USB driver. Seriously? Is there no USB driver at all? Really? Obviously, the eyesight's not working. What the heck? It has the USB stuff. Why is it not... Was it just throwing an error on my flash drive? Really? Let's try a different port. If I can get it in the port for one thing, that might be useful. Oh, there it goes. Now it works. Good old Windows 7 bugs. The little things like this is why I stopped using Windows, specifically Windows 7. It's just because, little things like that piss me off. Like, seriously. Although, I'm going to shut up because this is RTM Windows 7. Obviously, bugs like that existed on the RTM, not Service Pack 1. So, I'm going to shut up. Because I don't want to start flaming Windows 7. It's, like, going to go out of support in less than 30 days, so whatever. Is this going to ding me for needing Service Pack 1, or will it just work? I have no idea. I'm not going to hold my breath. Okay, yeah, I'm not doing it. Also, for some reason, the time is wrong. How's that? What the heck did you do? I don't know how the date and time is wrong. It's not 3:19 a.m. It's more like 7:19 p.m. There we go. That's better. Actually, what I should have done is I should have done the internet time sync just to make sure that the seconds counter was correct. Let's do that real quick. Oh, well, it loves to make that error message, but it should be synced now. Yep, it's synced. Perfect. Okay. Well, obviously the Bootcamp thing didn't launch for whatever reason. And, oh, there it goes. I just spoke too soon. There you go. Okay, good. It doesn't make me need Windows 7 Service Pack 1 to install this, which is good because otherwise it would have been flipping impossible unless I obviously downloaded it through Internet Explorer 8, which that's not happening. All right, we'll see how long this takes. All right, NVIDIA display driver, which this obviously has, so yeah. Excuse me. Oh, fuck. Nice GMT. Yeah, probably. Although really I only ever have that issue with Linux doing the stupid GMT time zone thing that resets the clock 8 hours ahead for my case. It's annoying. Because Linux just loves to default to GMT, not GMT minus 8. You know what I should have done is copy the folder to the desktop, not install it off the USB stick. I'm not that smart, so this is probably going to take a while. And my USB stick's not exactly that fast. So, yeah, I'm real smart. That wasn't too bad, actually. Oh, excuse me. Oh, dang it. What I can do, actually, is I can go in here and I can eject that Windows disk. At least I can eject it without needing to right-click thing of the touchpad. Because obviously I can't right-click with the touchpad right now because there's no driver for that. There we go. And here comes all built-in devices. Marvell Ethernet. I will say Apple does build in some very nice Ethernet hardware on these. Or at least they did. Nowadays, obviously, they quit doing that after 2012 when they went to the Retina models. I'm still kind of pissed off about that. Like, I understand you want to make thin and light machines, but, you know, really, you have to have a dongle to connect to Ethernet. Like, seriously, that's just stupid. I'm not buying an adapter just to connect a freaking Ethernet thing. That's just ridiculous. But I understand you want to make your thin and light machines, and nowadays they're kind of not doing that anymore since Johnny Ive left. So, oh well. Kind of a minor nitpick of mine anyway. I mean, I understand wireless is much better, but still there's times when I need to connect physically to a network. And then I don't have an adapter for it, and I can't do it. Just, anyway. It's kind of a rant for another day that I'm not interested in doing because that's my own personal opinion, and obviously I don't really want to hear others and their differing opinions, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Wait, was mine a Marvell Ethernet controller, or was this a Broadcom one? I think the Marvell one was the desktops, like the Mac Pro, I think, had a Marvell controller in it, maybe. I don't know. Intel graphics, ATI graphics. Yeah, this doesn't have any of those. And I'm glad this doesn't have a switchable graphics thing with the Intel X3100 or whatever it was, I think, that they used at this time with the white MacBooks with the same CPU, I think. One of my PCs, I used Rufus to make a Windows to go drive on a spare USB 2 40 gig hard drive, and then with my early 2014 MacBook Air 11-inch, I installed the Apple Bootcamp drivers, and everything works fine. Yeah, the only problem is that you're limited in throughput, because obviously the USB 2 port standard is 480 megabits per second, so it's not exactly that fast. I mean, it'll work, but it's not going to be particularly fast at all. And at least it'll be faster than running Windows off of like a SD card or something like that, I guess. Oh, basically wait and sit through all the hundreds of drivers that this Bootcamp installer assumes your thing has, and it only installs the ones that it knows that it has, which is just that much fun. Sounds Realtek audio, not the Sigmatel audio. Interesting. Well, anyway, sound should be working now. Yep, cool. Apple IR receiver, yep, it's there. Apple Cinema display, yeah, that's definitely there. Definitely. Yeah, first thing after I install Bootcamp, it's going to be max fan control, so I can actually like control the fans on this. I always do that with every Mac I own. Doesn't matter if it's Windows or Mac OS. I always install max fan control because I don't dare trust these older Macs with their default fan profiles and their aging hardware. I always control the fan profiles myself, especially considering the fact that the last time I tried to repaste a early 2008 MacBook Pro, it broke something, and then nothing ever worked right ever again, and it basically made the machine a lemon. I don't know how it did it. I'm not doing it again. Unless I absolutely have to. That was a big pain in the butt, because like you boot it up and the fans would immediately rage to 100% and nothing else was wrong with the machine. And then it couldn't charge the battery, even though it was a brand new freaking battery, and it worked just fine, had no issues with it, but yet, nope, it wouldn't charge it. You'd always have to run it on the thing, because otherwise if you pull the plug, it would just die immediately, even though there was a perfectly functioning battery in there. It just refused to charge it because it was that retarded. So, oh well. Mason Pelzer was asking, should I factory reset my HP Pavilion A307? I mean, that's up to you. I'm not really one you should be asking about that. I mean, if you want to do it, go ahead. If it's something that doesn't have any kind of like mission critical usage or data on it or anything like that, then by all means have fun. Because I mean, a machine like that's so freaking obsolete these days that it's basically useless for modern tasks, anyways. Mainly, you know, web browsing is kind of doable, but otherwise, no. And even then, you know, the modern web is just so bloated these days that it's not even worth doing it. Holy cow. We're not installing Intel Ethernet for Windows 7 on a computer like this. We already installed the Ethernet driver. Let's go. Alright. Think that was it, but I could be wrong. Because I think once it hits like the Ethernet drivers, it usually is done with the drivers. It just goes through and installs all the software stuff. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Alright, reboot. And now, when we restart, we should have functional 1440 by 900 display resolution. And probably for that matter, Windows Aero should turn on. But don't quote me on that. It might be stuck in basic when it reboots, which would make sense because obviously that's what it was last using. Okay, anything computer or Windows related asks, what's the specs? This has a 2.6 gigahertz Core 2 Duo because this was the BTO option of the 15-inch MacBook Pro, so it doesn't have the standard 2.4 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. I think this is the T9600. It's got 4 gigabytes of DDR2, 667 megahertz memory. It's got a original 200 gig hard drive and the NVIDIA GeForce 8600M GT with 512 megabytes of dedicated GDDR3 graphics memory. That was also a BTO upgrade option because this normally would have shipped with a 256 meg GDDR3 graphics adapter. This does not have the high resolution display. This is just the standard 1440 by 900 glossy display. I believe the high res option would have been a 1680 by 1050, or was it a 1920 by 1200 display? I can't remember. It was one of the two, but it would have been a matte display. This one doesn't have that, of course. Yep, we got native res. Perfect. Ah, there we go. That looks much better. I really like the display on this, even if it is just the basic display. Yeah, for 2008, this was a kick-ass machine, no doubt. It was a very, very well-equipped machine, particularly for its use case, which would have been mainly 3D design in CAD, which is what was on this machine when I got it, funnily enough. Yeah, not surprised it didn't enable Windows Aero. All right, and we're all done. Perfect. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you should be able to do 2 fingers and then click, and that should right-click. Yep, looks like it because it's loading the panel. There we go. I got to remember the old Bootcamp drivers, which I think it was 2 fingers and then click to do the right-click. What was not successfully installed? Probably some dumb driver. Oh, well, unknown device. Oh, obviously it's not going to install a driver right away. Obviously. All right, and there we go. Now, one thing I'm kind of curious, what NVIDIA drivers on this? I want to compare it to the newest one on their website just for kicks and giggles. Let's see here, system information. Oh my gosh. Driver 261.41. Yeah, that's a little out of date. Oh my goodness, that is really old. Yeah. Anyway, let's go quickly. I know it's not going to like me using Internet Explorer 8. Get the frick out of here. It's not going to like me using Internet Explorer 8, but I don't care. I'm going to go to geforce.com/drivers. Right. It totally blocked me from loading it. Go figure. NVIDIA's support site will actually work. I know that for a fact. It works on Internet Explorer 8 still. Again, it'll kind of ding you for using Internet Explorer 8, but at least it'll work. Yeah, I don't care. I'll install Internet Explorer 11 once I get Service Pack 1 installed, or for that matter, I'm just going to use Firefox. Oh, if I can navigate the broken menus. I just want all NVIDIA drivers. Yeah, this is going to be interesting to navigate. Anyway, are you going to keep Windows 7 after support ends or put Windows 10 on it? Well, obviously, Windows 7 is just going to be on here temporarily. That's just because I wanted to get Bootcamp working. more than likely, at the very minimum, I'm going to install Windows 8, but I might do Windows 10. But the problem is this only has 4 gigs of RAM, and so it makes it really tough to run without smashing the page file like a SOB. That's happened a lot lately with the more modern versions of Windows 10, and it's just bad. It's just gotten bloated all of a sudden from the days of 1709 and before, I think, because I think 1709 was the last one where they wouldn't go too insane with the RAM usage on 64-bit. I could be wrong. It just depends ultimately on what you got installed, and this is obviously not working, so we're just gonna... if you've seen my video, actually, not to obviously self-promote myself, but if you've gone to the trouble to watch one of my videos where I did Windows 10 on the minimum supported amount of memory, which was 1 gigabyte on 32-bit Windows, yeah, that doesn't exactly end well either. Basically, even with nothing installed, even with just the drivers installed for the system, like, it will literally just hit the page file like it's nobody's business. Anyway, I'm just gonna go download like Firefox 57, I think. I'm just gonna download a version that I think might work on Windows 7 RTM. I have no idea if this is actually going to work, but what the hell, we'll try it anyway. I just need something that's newer than what we've already got. On my luck, this will probably not work. There we go. Let's see here. Oh. Well, it'll show this extracting thing, but I'm not going to put any money on it working yet. I got to wait. Aw. Damn it. Is this 32-bit Windows? I never bothered to check. I guess I should have checked. Ha! Typical. I should have known this was going to be a 32-bit version of Windows. Well, my luck, right? Anyway. Yeah, it was a T9500, not a T9600. Oops. Well, I thought this was a T9600 Core 2 Duo. I guess I was wrong. I was one below. So T9500. There we go. Well, it looks like I'm going to be reinstalling Windows tonight. Because, yeah, that's 32-bit Windows. Well, whatever. At least I tried. Well, there you go. There's your stream. Windows is now bootcamped on the early 2008 MacBook Pro, and I oofed, and this is a 32-bit disk, not a 64-bit disk like I thought it was, which is interesting because the setup launched on a 64-bit version of Windows when it's not supposed to. So that's on me for not determining that, but whatever. Seems to run okay anyways. So yeah, off stream I'm going to fix this. I'm probably going to make a Windows 7 64-bit disk or something like that. Maybe I'll do a Windows 8.1 64-bit disk, and I'll just install that on here. I got to go get DVDs if I'm going to do that, because I don't have any more, because all of my DVD-R discs are gone, and for that matter, even if I did have some, they were all scratched to hell in a handbasket, and they didn't work anyway, because if you've watched my latest video with the HP Pavilion A250N, a little bit of a backstory on that, I had to switch to the 8 CD method because the DVD I was using at the time to try to use the HP recovery with wasn't working, because the DVD that I had just freshly pulled out of the spindle to burn the data onto was already scratched. So I can't really fault the disc because it had been sitting in the spindle for years, so, you know, whatever. But, oh well. So I'm going to have to go figure that out. I'll probably buy like a small bundle of DVD-Rs because I've got some leftover Christmas money, so I'll probably go ahead and do that just so that way I'm not out anything. And then we'll reinstall probably Windows 8.1 on this, because that'll probably run the best, ultimately speaking, and that'll be what I use for my video and gaming tests and all that fun stuff. I'll just install OpenShell. But otherwise, yeah, it runs really well, which is not surprising to say the least, because Windows 7 actually ran really well on a Core 2 Duo back in the day. Hell, it actually ran really well on a Pentium 4. If you had like a Prescott or a Cedar Mill Pentium 4, that actually wasn't too bad. But I'm just rambling at this point. when Windows 10 is debloated and the other stuff is turned off, it's more quite usable. Yeah, that's actually true. Windows 10 is actually not too bad once it's like running on a decent set of hardware and whatever. It's actually very fast. And I do like the fluidity of the user interface. That might be something I'll revisit someday with the Acer Veriton M264-EC1200C with 1 gig of RAM. I might actually revisit that with the 1 gig of RAM trick, or the minimum RAM requirement, and see if debloating Windows actually makes a significant difference to the performance, or if it's still laggy as all hell. That'd be a fun video, actually. I might try that over break. If y'all want to see that, actually, let me know in the chat, because I might actually consider that. I'll have to put it down on my list of videos to make in the future. To remember, oh, you just get it from Microsoft. I think I've got an ISO on my computer, actually, come to think of it. I'm going to turn my camera back to my ugly mug here, which is going to be backlit blue thanks to the bright Windows 7 background. Do I have a Windows 8 ISO? I think I do. Sweet, I do. Okay, perfect. So then what I might do is I'll just make a Windows 8.1 DVD, and then I'll just burn that to a DVD and put it onto this machine, install Bootcamp that way. My 2006 PC, I put Windows 10 and had to disable lots of Microsoft services. Now it's not always 100% use CPU. Well, I think if I remember correctly, you've always said that every stream. So this is kind of my personal dilemma, kind of a first world thing. I've got ISOs for both Windows 10 Pro version 15.07 and Windows 8.1, both 64-bit. Or what I could do, I think that's Windows 10 1909. I could do any one of those 3 ISOs on a DVD just to play around with. I think realistically I'll stick with 8.1 for now, because I do actually want a DVD version of it again, because my old one, I think I lost it somewhere, or either that or I got rid of it because it had been destroyed. I'm trying to debate whether I want to do 8.1 or 10 on this MacBook Pro, because I think I could use it for some subjective testing as to try to reduce the system resource usages and see if I can make it run better. Maybe I might try like a debloat thing with Windows 10 on this. Might see if it actually makes the performance any better. That could make for an interesting video idea. I'll take this out. I don't know. I'll figure that out when I go get some physical DVDs, because I don't even have any. I gotta get that taken care of. Currently running Windows 10 LTSB 2016 on my main PC. Runs really fast. Well, I've not got much experience with the LTSB builds, or I think nowadays they just call them LTSC. It might still be called LTSB. Anyway, the only real major experience I've done is installing the very first one, which was 2015 LTSB. But that's based on Windows 10 15.07, and it's kind of garbage, let's be fair. And for some reason, I can't get it to check for updates, which is weird. Only thing I despise about Windows 10 is I get a lot of blue screens related to the critical process died, even if I did a reinstall. Weird. I wonder if that's got something to do with... I think I had an issue similar to that with some computer. I forget what it was. Because I kept running into that issue with the critical process died blue screen. And I'm trying to remember if that was RAM related or if that was a driver problem. Because I had a flaky driver problem with the computer on Windows 10, and it did the exact same crap. So that might be what you're running into. It might be a driver problem or a memory problem. I hate how Microsoft forces you on their newer Windows. Like, even if you're on an older Windows 10, they push you to the new Windows 10 build. Well, while I won't disagree that I do think that Microsoft should give a little bit more leniency to their operating system update cycles, the thing is that nowadays, and I'm not trying to defend Microsoft here, this is just me stating my own opinion. Nowadays, I do recognize that things need to have regular updates because of the fact that it used to be where a lot of attacks would happen because people would never update their computers because they always had this skepticism of updating your computer slows it down or something stupid like that. And a lot of people even still do that today. They still have the conspiracy theories of Apple slows down your phone. Well, it's not just Apple doing it. Every manufacturer freaking does it except for, well, honestly, I don't think an example comes off the top of my head because every manufacturer's in their updates slows down their phones or tablets or whatever. And obviously, Microsoft has no subjection to that. So, anyway, but as far as like the patches go, Microsoft's just trying to help protect the end user from having another one of those epidemics again. So yes, it sucks, and yes, I do absolutely agree that them firing basically all of their quality control team before Windows 10 basically got launched properly. Back in the technical preview days. I remember those very well. Yeah, pretty dumb. And of course, nowadays they're facing their consequences and eating their shit, especially when it came to like Windows 10, 1809, and 1903. You can bet your butt that they got screwed over on those two. But anyway. But honestly, no, nowadays I do think it is a little bit of a PITA that Microsoft doesn't let you just stay on one version of Windows 10 unless you run the LTSB or LTSC branches. I can relate on that, absolutely. I do think it's a bit annoying, but in the end, as long as you just keep up with your updates, honestly, it's not the end of the world and it's not that big of a deal. Because the more you put it off, the more they're going to intentionally try to update your computer because you're out of date. And, in the end, I understand your computer's working just fine, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work fine forever. And I guess if you're offline, that's another issue entirely. But if you're online all the time, then, if you get attacked and whatever, that's on you for not running your updates, and that's on you for not figuring it out and using and not doing a routine where you let your computer do its updates and you let your computer do its backups or whatever have you. Obviously, issues arise here and there. I understand that whole debacle about, updates break things because, again, Microsoft's quality control is out the door because it doesn't exist anymore, basically. They rely on insiders to do that. But again, my point is that, I recognize the need for staying on an older version of Windows, but, if you're online and whatever and an attack happens to you, well, Microsoft ain't going to do jack crap for you because it's your fault for not updating. So that's a debacle for another live stream. I'm not going to really get into that too far with this one just because, my personal opinions are going to be different than your personal opinions about the subject matter, and it's not really that great to try to defend your argument within a live stream chat unless you're doing an audio chat or something like that. And besides, again, opinions are opinions. They're to each individual's own perspective, and that's perfectly fine. So anyway, this is kind of a thing that I mentioned. Is just, my opinions are different about this stuff than others. Anyway, back to the chat. 1809 was a great version and I never had issues with it. Honestly, I never did too once they made that re-release where they stopped the issue of deleting personal files after you upgraded. Although back at that time, when I updated to 1809, I did a clean install, and that was when I had my FX8350 computer. And back at that time, I had a bug where OneDrive opened in the background, and it fucked all my libraries up in Windows, and then none of my software would work properly because they would expect the libraries to be in one location when they were actually in another. And so what that did was it broke a lot of my software programs to where they expected their files to be, it wasn't there anymore, and you couldn't fix it because they would always get an error message about access is denied about the exact same files and the exact same folders in the hard drive of your computer, and you can't switch the directories because OneDrive was set as the default, and anytime you try to change it, it just acts retarded and doesn't do it. It's like, really? I think they fixed it now, finally, after like 4 years. Took them long enough to do it. Either that, or it's still around, and it's still able to be triggered if you do it wrong, but I don't use OneDrive anyway. If I'm going to use OneDrive, I'm just going to open up in the web interface because I can't be bothered to have it locally syncing to my computer. I don't want it on my local machine, so I just every time I set up Windows and I sign in with my Microsoft account, I always disable OneDrive because it's just a big pain in the butt more than it's worth. In my school's case, for my school Office account and everything, I leave it enabled because Office does actually need it in order to function properly with the file syncing in Office. It has to have OneDrive open in the background for that to work properly. I mean, it can work without it, but then it's kind of hard to figure out if it's actually syncing files properly, and it's just faster to open it through Windows Explorer anyway. But anyway, use cases aside. Windows 10 1703 is my favorite version. Honestly, I think my favorite version of Windows 10, if I had to pick one, was the... Oh, God. If I can remember the build numbers. There was a build of Technical Preview where they had a very early build of Project Spartan, which eventually became Microsoft Edge. It was kind of based on the newer rendering engine that Microsoft put in as a UWP app rather than a Win32 app. I'm trying to remember what build that was where they introduced Project Spartan. I'm going to look that up real quick so I can confirm that, actually, because I honestly cannot remember. It was like a 10,000 build or was it a 9900 series build? I cannot remember. What the heck was it? My apologies, the stream quality is going to go to hell in a handbasket. What the heck was it? I'm sure somebody's going to beat me to that in the chat. What build was it? Yeah, I can't. That's not the one that I was thinking it was. Whatever. I want to say it was like a 10,000 series build of some kind. Might have been like 10,024 or something like that. That wasn't even a build, was it? I can't remember. Anyway, point is, like, it was one of those where Microsoft's Project Spartan web browser was integrated into an insider preview build, or at that time was a technical preview build. I just wish I knew which one it was. Anyway, doesn't matter. So, yeah. So let's see, what time is it? 7:51. So I think at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the stream because I got to, if I can switch the camera on, there we go. I got to go run to Walmart and get me some discs because obviously I just installed 32-bit Windows and that's not what I need. I need 64-bit Windows, and obviously I don't have any more discs to burn to get me a better version of Windows, so that's fun. So anyway, I'm going to go take care of that. It was good seeing you all on the stream. Hopefully I can get some more videos out over the course of my winter break since I'm on it now, and we'll go from there. So anyway, do a video on your $25 laptop. Well, if it's the one that I'm thinking it is, that's already sold. A friend of mine actually came to me shortly after that video, and she actually bought it off of me. So yeah. And then when I tried to go and edit the footage that I already had, iMovie corrupted itself because I was editing videos on this thing back then. And I couldn't edit the videos, and I couldn't back it up, and I couldn't recover it and everything. So, yeah. So that video is basically not going to happen at all because I have no way of making it. So that was fun. All right. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off now, and I'll catch you guys later in the next one.